Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Darachat, a solo Darachat, mind you, because I didn't schedule anyone for today. But I figured it's been a while since I've done a solo chat. So, but anyway, thank you for being here. Yesterday was a wonderful time with Mr. Tom Connors, and of course, I hope you was able to come back in. Dude is very busy, so I doubt that'll be anytime soon. But yeah, it was nice to get to talk to him, just person to person. I know I've followed them for a while and stuff, and all that. But at the end of the day, it's about getting that opportunity just to speak with them about whatever. And of course, there are more people in July. July is filling up quick, so I'm at a space where I didn't think I'd be. And of course, having Mr. Tom on, Mr. Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge, it was a boost. obviously it was a boost, but it's more of now of reaching more people and having more different people on. Of course, it's always still I have to go out there. I have to. Yes, my mic is on. Thank goodness. I almost thought I didn't have it on. No, I've got to hold on. Okay, there we go. I was I was like, why is it like that? But I got it corrected. Sometimes you have to get your mic things. I don't know why I was at the camera first, but anyway. But yes, um, it it was a great time, and I hope we can do it again and again. I look forward to all those who come on, and, again, it's not an easy thing asking other people on because I don't. They can not answer me. They could say, "Oh, look into it," and never say anything again, or they not not respond at all. And when that's the case, sorry, I turn it off so I can burp. But when that's the case, it's like, all right, well, maybe next time, I guess. There are people I've asked on. It's like, um, not this time, and that's okay too. So, but anyway, I I'm really grateful for those who came, and yes, I did. I did show my numbers, which is a rare thing because I don't go to rely on it because I don't want to be seen as someone who's like chasing the numbers or whatever. Even though I look at them sometimes, um, I just looked at it to be, surprised by it rather than anything else. But no, I am appreciative of all who come to watch. I say that up front because once you start doing this thing, it's like, oh, he's just doing all this whatever stuff, and I'm just like, come on the show and let's chat a little. But anyway, so how are all you doing? I know there's not a either now or in the replay, whatever. But how are all of you doing? How is your day going? It is Wednesday where I'm at. Some people are hours behind me. Some people are days in front of me. Some of the UK people are like like 5 hours, so they're already at tomorrow. Um, hey, hey, Steve, how's the carrots? Oh, you mean post-it notes? Oh, they're doing well. I mean, there's more different colors now. Like I have orange and purple up there. I went to Office Depot to get no Staples. I went to Staples to get different color because I did promise Sweets, you know, wife of Rance who was on here a while back, that I can get a purple purple post-it note. I fulfilled my quota. So, but regardless, I yeah, it's going well. It's going very well. Other than needing to drink my waters. Um, but yeah, no, yeah, and thank you for being here, Steve. Yeah, yesterday was an interesting one. Um, but yeah, I'm glad to be here today. I thought about taking the day off, but I'm like, I've done it well so far. Why not keep going, right? And all that stuff. But yeah, I did say I was talking about the If movie because as long as it don't look rainbow. Hey, Roy G, there's nothing wrong with Roy G Biv. It's the other people who've taken it and abused it. Roy G Biv is fine. It's the other people that have the issue, right? The rainbows, yeah, I've seen a single rainbow, I've seen a double rainbow, but those people who want to put them on flags, whatever, that's their weird business. I like the rainbow because it's a reflection of light from the sun and the water droplets out like a prism and all that stuff, and it's very more technical than that. But I don't know. I don't know the technical as much because I'm not a scientist. Um, But hey, you know what? I'm here to just enjoy it all. So regardless, I am I am glad for the opportunity of the people I'll get to. It's been hijacking. Yeah, it's been hijacking someone else. But you know what? Fudge them. You know what? Because I don't care. A rainbow's a rainbow. You know. If we get into the techno aspect of it, rainbow was just white light prismed by the little water droplets. It's all that tastes like Skittles, candy, or something. Yeah, because I can taste the rainbow with that one. You know what I'm saying? I don't I don't want to get too far into it, but yes. Oh man, it's been a while since I've had Skittles. Oh man, I think last time I had Skittles was like the Starburst kind of Skittles. You know the what does they call it? Not it. Yeah, Starburst. I think it's called Starburst. And although you don't taste all the colors, um, it you can taste some like banana. I think banana is the one that most people don't like. Oh, yeah, you got a heat wave. Yeah, you guys can't handle a bit. It's like 78-degree weather. Oh, I'm sorry, Celsius. 78 degrees is 77 or 78 was like the conversion. Yeah, so that was the conversion is the 78 around 80 for us. And I was like, yeah, you guys can't handle that. Come on. Come on. Yeah, and the funny thing though is that you guys don't really have ACs there. But again, as I was told, your guys' houses were built to keep heat in because mostly it's raining and all this stuff. But you guys are getting like up there where you haven't handled it before. Like to us, like in the South, Arizona, Arizona State, right? I think the highest it's gotten is probably 100 and something. I know Death Valley, which is like a small area, it gets to like 120 or so. But Arizona's like above 100. Texas probably above 100 during the summer. In the Midwest, last week we had it like around 90. Good luck. Good luck is all I can say. But yeah, it's interesting to learn the difference of how we in the US handle heat because again, varied places handle it differently. But we go to the UK and they're like, dear Lord, it is 32 Celsius and I am but of parched taste. And we're like, do you guys not have water? What? You guys are I'd go over there and be like, well, I mean the humidity is probably the issue, but after that point, you're like, come on, guys, come on. But no, I sort of feel for you because you guys are built a bit differently. So, hey, what do I know, right? I've not been to the UK. You lot have air AC. Yes, we have AC. Yeah. When it gets a little hot out, we have the AC units cool us down. Uh, Usually when it's humid out, because when it's really humid out is when it really bugs the heck out of people. Because last week was just humid all about. It was in the 90s, sure, but to add humidity, it was nope. Mm-mm. So, but yeah, differences of weather between U.S. and UK. Well, one is the measurement. We do imperial and they do metric. So there's that. Second is because of how the UK is in their area and the cool weather and the majority of the time it's raining and all they get and stuff. They're really not built up for that. We have hot weather all over the place. You can go to New York, you can go to Chicago, you can go down to Texas. It can be hot during the summer. So always drink plenty of H2O. If you don't, you'll be like a dried raisin, and people will be like, yeah. They'll say, oh, there'll be a lot of people with their shimmies and guns out fighting for their dear life for their ACs. But then again, all they have to do is turn off the power, and then it's like, well, that sucks. Because ACs do take a chunk of power. Actually, what is the average power usage of an A/C unit? All right, let me show the answer. And then I do, oh, bam, okay. Okay, so this is, what is the average power usage of an AC unit? Well, this is in the US. So the average power usage of air conditioning unit varies depending on several factors, including the type, size, efficiency of the unit, as well as the climate and usage patterns. According to one estimate, an air conditioner can use anywhere between 500 watts and 4,000 watts of electricity. They use quite a bit of power to function. Yeah, and I just saw like 5 to 4,000 watts. But in theory, if you get a big enough battery inverter, you could run off. Yeah, that's true. Or the what is it? The solar panel stuff. I don't know. But anyway, another estimate suggests that a home air conditioner could use about 3,000 watts electricity per hour, which translates to 73,000 watts per day if used continuously. So I don't know the measurement of watts and stuff. I'm just your ordinary person. A smaller window AC unit can use as little as 500 watts, while larger window unit portable air conditioners use up to 4,100 watts. On average, a central air conditioner can use 30,000 to 5,000 watts. It's essential to note that these estimates may vary depending on the AC. Yeah, so there you go. I live in a place with central air, so it's probably around this point, but watts seems like a lot. How? I'm not gonna look it up. I'm not gonna look it up because I was gonna be like, how much is a watt? Well, let's put it this way. No. But yeah, it is a lot. Let's just leave it at that. It's a lot of power, as Steve says. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the UK could handle that kind of power usage because I don't know if their system is built for it. Because see the UK, I don't know if it's like relying on coal. Okay. Here we go again. I got to do some searching. All right, guys. What power sources does the I messed it up. Does the what? Why did it give me a new tab? We're nerding out. That's right. We're nerding out in style, but I have to put a thing up. I don't know why. There we go. Okay. Okay. All right, kids. Let's look at this a bit. Here we go. What power sources does the UK have? All right. Well, let's look at this. The UK has a diverse range of power sources to generate electricity. Natural gas, obviously, contributing. That's 2022. Okay. Oil. All right there. Nuclear power. You guys are way behind. Come on, UK, bump it up. I want to see those numbers. Pop up. Coal's 3.2%. All right. Biofuels and waste 8.9%. Well, that's not bad. Renewable sources. Oh, that's so low. That's because they can't do much. Wind power with a record of 21.81 gigawatts. I don't know what that is. Beyond the point of it being a gigawatt. Sorry, a gigawatt. Solar power, but it doesn't give a number for it. Bio waste power generation producing electricity from such as wood and waste. Oh, well, that's not bad. If you can produce electricity from wood waste, I mean that's not bad. But yeah, I think nuclear power could do better because you have natural gas and oil. Fine, whatever. But yeah, I think nuclear could do better. But yeah, so you have multiple sources. So I mean, I don't know how much power usage that would bump the UK up if they started using ACs. But then again, they just aren't in the thing to use for the AC units. Well, yeah, go tell them to go green by hugging a tree and staying there. Yeah, tell them to live in a tree house. See how that works. Tell them to go live in a tree house. But we can't, man. We can't live in the tree house. There's no house in the trees. There's no house in the trees. Well, you gotta. You got to go build it first. You got to go build the treehouse first. Go up, bring some screws and some wood, and just kind of go up there and build treehouse. But dog, we don't have any spare parts, man. We don't have any spare parts at all. Where are we gonna get our stuff? Oh man, I don't know what to tell you. You're gonna have to climb up the tree and build it. Build it out of the tree. It's green, right? Well, we can't use screws on the trees because it'll hurt the trees. Well, I guess you gotta use rope then, don't ya? Mm. They want everyone to have electric cars. Yes, they can go electric car themselves. All right, because you shouldn't be forced to take up a certain specificity. Oh, criminy! What's the word? Specificity, whatever it is, um, of a vehicle. No country should be forcing you to get a certain type of vehicle. Look, I'm all for the wild accent. Wild. You think that's wild? Yeah. Well, it's because I've listened to enough English people talk that I can at least get something out of it, right? You can listen to Michael Caine. Michael Caine is doing this Cockney accent, right? You don't ask me to try. I'm just getting close enough. I can do better Australian than English, but if I don't, hey, Fatal, nice to see you again, sir. How are you doing? We're just talking about the English and how they want to force everyone to use electric cars. I'm not against hybrid. Don't get me wrong. I think combining forces rather than just being them singular on their own is better because again, uh, my parent. I have a parent who owns Australian. No, this raw here. Nope, sorry, that's wrong. Fatal, come on, Fatal, come on. We're allies. You can't say that. I mean, you can, but we're allies here. But yeah, no, I'm trying to get it out right. See, we're trying to go around the back end, right there. You try to go to the back end, and a dingo comes up and eats your baby, and you're just like, oh, what the hell? All that stuff. But no, I do try to do an English accent. It's like 50-50 ish. Because then you just sort of emulating someone. I'm not trying to be like those people that do like a Michael kind, because that just kind of that's cockney and that's just sort of out there. No, nothing wrong with that, obviously, but emulating is better than impersonating because when you can find the tones of the word, can't tell him he can't do romantic things with me. Sorry, Fatal. He's Steve spoke. Steve spoke it. There you go. Steve said he can't do romantic things with them. He just can't. It's too bad. I'm gonna have a U.S. and Englishman fight out in the street. All right, go back to your crippled states. Yeah. Oh, too funny. But anyway, yes, I did say I'd talk about the movie If. Now I don't know if anyone's seen the movie If. Written and directed by none other than John Krasinski. Now, if you all remember, during the C-19 era, or Urge, or whatever you want to call it, the John Krasinski was doing something called Some Good News, which the news was just negative all the way around during that time period, and he decided to do something called Some Good News. And of course, once it was over, everyone could get out. It was done and over with. But anyway, he recognized him from the Office, the American version, because that lasted 9 years. And what was it? He did this movie. Now he did it with a bunch of other. He did it with a bunch of other actors. I believe. Gosh, I have to look it up. I can't remember who the voices were. Voices in the movie. I know Steve Carell was one of them. Phoebe Waller as Blossom. Oh, look, here we go. All right, I gotta bring it up. And I gotta share it. Okay, so the voices of it, I couldn't remember. So of course I knew Phoebe was. I kind of had a feeling she was Blossom. Made sense. Steve Carell's Blue, obviously. Louis Gossett as Louis the bear. That was I don't know. Recognize Aquafina, of course, was the bubble. What? Our mention is part of the cast, but there's big. Oh, okay. Emily Blunt was the unicorn, which was interesting, but again, working with your husband on the movie, obviously, would be nice to have good news these days. Yeah, yeah, it would. What else? Bill Hader. I can't remember who Bill Hader was. Rich Jenkins. Yeah, some of them are just like whatever. But yeah. So what was I going with it? But there was a lot of talented people. Some from The Office, obviously, and for me, I heard a lot of people like, "Oh, it's not a great movie. It did pretty poorly, whatever, and all that stuff." But I was like, there's a lot there. Of course, the beginning of it, right? The beginning of the movie is sort of disjointed because it's trying to catch you up to the dad part. It's showing the mom. I mean, we're in spoiler territory anyway. So if you haven't seen it, well, here's a spoiler. Spoilers. All right. So anyway, we go through this beginning, and of course, the Paramount symbol is done. It's like it's been finger painted by a bunch of kids, which is pretty interesting. And the movie begins with the little girl, B, and then her dad and her mom. And they're just kind of recording when she's a little girl and doing all this stuff, all this exciting stuff as a kid, which it's unsure how well that chemistry was between all of them because it felt like at times it was a put on, but I mean they're actors, so it is what it is. And hey, that's all right, Steve. Get some rest. Go to bed. Get some rest. Relax, relax. You don't have to force yourself to be here. But but anyway, what was it? So yeah, they do that, and then all of a sudden, you see like the mom is having issues. She starts wearing her bandana on top of the head, so it's signifying that she might have had cancer. I mean, that's the only thing I could pick up from that. And then we come to the point where B's a little more grown up. She's coming up with her grandma to her house, and what was it? And they're sort of like settling in and stuff and all that. But the one thing I didn't really get was, John Krasinski's dad character sort of thing. He was very eccentric, right? It's very outlandish at times because there's really no descriptor, right? If you've never seen the movie, um, it's about imaginary friends, but we're going to get to that point. There's really no descriptor of what he has. At one point, he opens his shirt and it shows like a broken heart here and all that stuff. And it's not really sure of what he actually has. Now, from the beginning with the mom and stuff, we could deduce, oh, so she has cancer. But there's a point where he says, I'm not the same as mom and all that stuff. So we're kind of like, it's not cancer, but something to do with the heart. So it's never fully explained. But the dad is a bit eccentric, and he's not in the picture a lot because, of course, he's at the hospital and all this stuff. But I'm back. My internet just took a. Oh, well, we're glad you're back there, Fatal. Akakapupu. Shikakaka, as they would say in Ace Ventura. Um, eh, Shikakaka. Oh man, I love that movie. But anyway, back to the movie of F. Right. So, the movie at this point, the girl goes visits her dad in the hospital. Again, not clear of what's going on. We get a hint of it's something to do with heart, but is it a heart issue? What? Nothing said, nothing stated. Right? We don't get anything more than that. Um, and then as the girl goes back home, she's getting settled in, and she's all this stuff that's been left behind from previous times. She's like telling your grandma, "I'm not a kid anymore, not a kid anymore." I think the grandmother played Aunt Petunia in the Harry Potter series. Oh, I'm going to look this up. Uh, have to go. Got it. T. There we go. B, 12-year-old. Oh, so she's 12-year-old. Okay. Cast. Kaylee Clement, okay, of course. Fiona Shaw. Yes, I believe this Fiona Shaw. I believe she was Aunt Petunia. Oh, she was in the. Oh, she was in True Blood. Oh, that's interesting. But where is she? Oh, there she is. Petunia. That's right. So she was Aunt Petunia. There we go. Right. So she was Aunt Petunia, I knew it. I knew when I saw her face, like that looks like Aunt Petunia. But yeah, you had a whole assortment. Just look at the whole assortment of people playing in this cast. Look, like John Krasinski is the marshmallow. I didn't know that. Blake Lively is the octopus. Okay. Okay. Magic Mouse Sebastian. Interesting. Cosmo is Christopher Maloney. Now that's interesting. Matthew Reeves is the ghost. Who was the ice? Bradley Cooper. I was wondering why that voice sounded so familiar. George Clooney is a spaceman. There's just a bunch of people here. All right, just a bunch of people. All right, unsharing that. Anyway, back to the point of, so she lives with the grandmother, Aunt Petunia, who played Aunt Petunia. I apologize. The grandmother, and then she finds a camera, a handheld camera. Someone's mowing outside. Gotta shut the window. There we go. Okay. So she goes to this store, buys a cable so she can charge the camera. But we see in this distance she's being followed by somebody. But we notice it, but she doesn't. And then she, plugs it or whatever, and she hears a noise in her closet, or I think that's before. Anyway, it sort of leads on this point that goes into the ifs and stuff, imaginary friends and all that. And I really think once the movie got to the point of getting on the if factor, the imaginary friend factor, that's when things can start to pick up a bit. But it's a kids movie, so there's going to be things where they're not going to be explained and all this other stuff. So yeah, whatever. But yeah, the beginning part with, we don't know what the dad stuff is. John Krasinski is a bit eccentric in how he acts. I understand the why, but it's sort of a bit out there, if you get my meaning. And then, once we get into the, getting the involvement with his stuff, it is, after a certain point, it is harrowing because yes, it is about kids and their imaginary friends and all stuff, but then you get to see this part with the kids who grew up, right? Because the ifs are, and it's trying to graft themselves on the new kid, not like graft in that manner, but they're trying to get onto new kids because their old kids have grown up and they don't need them anymore, right? The only problem though is that's not working. It's not working, right? The grafting onto the kids isn't working. Maybe they get seen, maybe they don't, but at the end of the day, it's not. I think that was a fly. It's not working. So you have this situation where the imaginary friends are in this zone of, we can't connect, whatever. And of course, she tries to help. They eventually end up, Calvin, one of the people who's helping these imaginary friends, they end up meeting, and he takes her to a place where imaginary friends go for retirement, right? They just go there and all that stuff. And what was it? And it becomes like, goes through, sees bits and pieces of different imaginary friends, and then she B meets Lewis, who is this big old teddy bear who's voiced by Louis Gossett. And from that point, the movie kind of just goes in its own way, where we get this sort of two-sided view: is the imagination from the child, then, which we understand it's limitless at this point, and then we get to the adult imagination where it's been driven and drivel and all this stuff, And it comes to a point through Lewis's help and talking with B and whatnot, that maybe it's not about getting to new kids. Maybe it's about going back to the old kids that have grown up to an adult and trying to reconnect somehow. And of course, the only way they can do this is through memories. Now, that's a very impactful thing, right? I know a lot of people said, "Oh, it wasn't that great," or whatever. It was confusing at first. I get some of it, but not all of it, because there was a poignancy to it, because there's the imagination of the child, right? There's imagination of the child, and then there's the child that once was the adult now. And so you have these two very different perspectives, and they're trying to look at different ones. And I thought they did pretty well at it. I felt like they did pretty well at it. I mean, as best as you could, imaginary friends and whatnot. But was it so? But the thing of it is in order to be seen by their former people, they have to get into the memory, right? There has to be a trigger memory that helps them be remembered to some degree. And the first one for this to happen is Blossom, which is the if of, say, is the if of the lady who Fiona Shaw's character, the Petunia, whatever, the grandma. And because that was this thing that popped up when she talked to them after talking to Lewis, is that trying to find how to activate the memories. And of course, an old phonograph record or an old vinyl record player is playing, and so she has the idea of maybe that could be used to help my grandma remember. And so the way she found out that Blossom is her if is through a picture, because her grandma was I know I'm getting this out of wrinkle, but the grand B found that her grandmother used to be ballet and all this stuff, but couldn't do it anymore because she grew up, she was too old, too awkward, all that stuff. And what was it? And she, when she gets to look at the picture that her grandma was in, she sees Blossom in the background. So they go up there, have that conversation. Then it goes through the whole process of the vinyl record and whatnot. And so they come back down, and sneakily, she tries to find a vinyl album that could be considered something that was music played during a old ballet during her grandmother's time. And she's able to find a vinyl. I can't remember what it was. It was like I can't remember the name of it. It'll come back later. You find the music, she plays it, and she goes hides behind the couch with Blossom. And of course, the grandmother comes in, is like, "Go, B, what's going on?" What's all this? And she hears the music. Now, of course, she almost stops it. But then she stops, and she gets to a pose of doing some ballet dance moves and all this stuff. And through us, and during a certain point of this, Blossom starts to glow like a reddish orangish color, and that's signifying that the memory is being hit on. And so at a certain point, Blossom and the grandmother doesn't see. Obviously, she's facing out towards the window, and Blossom is behind her, and so is B. But we see a point where now Blossom is doing the movements that the grandmother's doing of all the ballet moves. And so you get this sort of motion. And of course, there's no acknowledgement between the if and the grandmother. It's just signifying that this thing can work. It's just you got to find where to hit the memory out. And so that's successful, right? And she doesn't see her if, yeah, but it is successful enough that, okay, so this is something worth trying. And it's not sure of who they try for next, but and I left something out. I remember I left something out, but regardless, I'm just trying to get through it as quickly as possible. I'm just trying to get to this point as quick as possible. The granddaughter wants to try Blue, the big purple character, which is the irony because Blue is purple, but his name is Blue. Blue. I know someone mentioned something about the foster home for imaginary kids, but it's just it's not I remember watching Foster's Home, and it's not in any similar stance, because no matter who you were, you could see the imaginary friends. However, in this world, you can't, unless the imaginary friend is yours, you can remember them, whatever. So they would just be ghosts to them, in essence. And uh, what else? Where was I? Oh no, don't do that. Hey, what up, Stuff? Here he is. Look at him. There's Stuff Central. What up, sir? Thank you for coming by. Um, what is it? And so they try to do blue. Now, of course, the first way to try and do it is, they follow, they follow his person, which was named Jeremy. Irony. And they go to, they follow him to like a sort of bagel shop or whatever. And the goal of it is to try and get him to remember to see Blue again, because this is Blue's kid. Of course, the first point of it goes awfully wrong. Blue sneezes and it just scares the guy, and it just drops his coffee all over the place. It just makes a mess. Just makes a mess. And they go out, they're walking down, they're kind of, Blue's lamenting how sad he is now, it failed and all this stuff. But then he says something that, no. We're talking about the movie If. And some people say it's a similarity to Foster's Home, but I remember seeing Foster's Home, and it's not to this point of the matter, because in Foster's Home, pretty much anyone could have seen the imaginary friends, and If, not really. It's down to very few, and especially to the people, and mostly to the people who had an imaginary friend can see him. I know I'm not doing very good, but still. Anyway, what was that? Okay, so they just got done. Yeah. If it's still out in theaters, I think. But for me, it was the beginning part is, yeah. But towards like the secondary. Towards the secondary half, the movie gets better. At least for me. That's just me. I gave it like a 8 or 9 out of 10. But at the end of it, people will think of it what they will. What's mowing? But what was I? Oh yes. So they're walking out. They're doing this thing, and something Blue says, "Light bulbs be," and he says, "I'm hungry." Well, during the process of trying to figure out these imaginary characters, the Blue says, talks about his old kid where his family used to own a bakery and all this stuff, and so that brings up a point of saying, "I think I could try something." So they, don't lose him whenever she goes and gets something. Well, come to find out, she goes and gets, croissants in order to help with the memory. Now, obviously, um, Jeremy's going into this big meeting of his life. He's nervous. He's anxiety. You can just see it on his face. And the guy who plays Jeremy, was an SNL alumni. I can't remember his name. I don't remember his name, but I know he was an SNL alumni. And he what was it? He's nervous, he's anxiety ridden. And they first try, she opens the box, and of course the guy from a distance can smell the waft of the croissants and all this stuff. And he sort of glances over and glances away, and he just slowly eats it or whatever. However, and so at a moment we do see Blue is starting to glow. He's starting to glow. And that's signifying that there's a connection there. The memory is starting to come forth. But then all of a sudden, Jeremy is being called to go into this meeting. And so the light fades, right? The memory is dissipating. And it's in that moment where he's standing in front of the door, and Jeremy is just like he is scared out of his mind, out of his mind. He's anxiety and stress is just weighing on him. You can see in his face. It's like he's about to cry. Basically, is the term. And then Blue, he uh, voice what he do. Oh well, thank you, sir. I have a problem. I don't think my voice is that nice, but thank you anyway. Um, what was I? And yeah, so Blue, Blue takes a deep breath. He goes up behind Jeremy, and at a certain point, he puts his hand on his shoulder. Right, Jeremy doesn't see him. He just feels this thing, and then Blue starts to glow, and then all of a sudden, unison, Jeremy and Blue take a deep breath, and then Blue says, "You're gonna be okay." Right, and then what happens is, Jeremy goes, the door opens, Jeremy goes in, and it's just like the stress has melted off him, whatever. And of course, Blue gives B a big hug and all this stuff. And of course, the person, they can't see the imaginary friend, so they're just seeing this girl standing on her tippy toes, in this sense. And but the thing of it is that I don't have Rumbot, so none of those commands are going to work here, Stuff Central, unfortunately. I do not have Rumbot. Yes. What was I? But when I saw the part with Blossom, right? When I saw the part that was Blossom and the grandmother, memories have a way of connecting us to something that is long gone, whether it be family members, whatever, like grandparents or parents or whatnot. And to reach this point where now it's the older side of the coin, right? We had the young side of the coin, now we have the older side of the coin. Reaching into the memories of the older side, trying to reconnect to their past a bit, to try to find some, for the ifs and whatnot, to reconnect. And when I saw that scene of, Blue trying to calm his person, right? Because Jeremy never doesn't see him. There's no point in the movie where Blue is seen by Jeremy, but he feels him. And it helps both of them at a point because they've now connected again through memory. And so there's this going to be, pose of where right now in the movie we only see a few get connected with their person, but later on towards the end we're going to see more. And what was it? After that point, she goes back. She takes Blue back and stuff. And what was it? I can't remember if it. So she goes back, but then she goes back to the house where Grandma's at, and of course it's her dad. The time of the surgery has come to pass, and so they're getting their stuff packed up or whatever. And I'm probably missing a few things, so I apologize. And they're in a hurry to get to the hospital, because of her dad. And well, this was a hard one. If you saw it, once you see the movie, you'll get what I mean. But so the grandmother and daughter are going, and they get there, and of course the surgery's already happened, and the dad is resting. The nurse says, he's had a big day, he's resting on stuff. She kind of just goes over and the performance of this girl, I can't remember her name, who plays B. It is just, it is a father and daughter moment where, yes, we don't know what was wrong with her dad. We just have instances of like, oh, he had a heart issue. But there's a point in the story where she plays it up so well. You can feel like, because she's in this moment where she is tearing up, she's crying because she doesn't want her father to go, because all she has is her dad. She has a grandma, sure, but her parent wise, all she has is her dad because her mother passed away from cancer. And you just feel this raw emotion of just pleading, and before she goes to the hospital stuff, she goes up to the area where she meets Calvin, who's the other person trying to help the imaginary people. and she's like, I don't want to go. I don't want to say goodbye. I can't do this. You know, you'd see you can see the tears just about to fall on her face, and the the chemistry, right? The chemistry between her, the Phoebe and Calvin, who's played by Ryan Reynolds. That one scene, man. That was just as heavy because she, they've built up this point of trying to get the um the imaginary friends to try to get back with their people, and they've grown close during this time or whatever, and it's sort of just, it's not anything like that. It's more of a playful uh doing this thing to help these imaginary friends, whatever, because they both can see him. And they're she doesn't want to go. She doesn't want to do this point where it feels like it's goodbye. And she asks Calvin, what does she do? What does she do? She doesn't want to go to say goodbye, and he simply says, go and tell him a story. Just go and tell him a story. And the moment, because they go in for a hug and stuff, and the moment, and credit off to Ryan Reynolds, because he has kids, right? But credit off to Ryan Reynolds because he gave a performance in that moment. I mean, it was still goofy fun to some areas, whatever, but he gave a performance in that moment that was, it was just icing on the cake, because it was an emotional moment where they're in a hug, and they're just, she is bawling. She's bawling at this point. She's a 12-year-old girl bawling because she doesn't want to lose her dad, and she doesn't know what to say. And he's telling her, just tell him a story. It was, I don't know about you, but it hit me hard. It hit me hard, and I don't have kids, but to lose a parent is something else. My parents, I still have both my parents, but I still lost my grandparents, so there's still something in that. But then, of course, we go to the hospital. We do that, and she tells the story. She tries to tell a story of the little girl who's lonely, and all this other stuff, and it's trying to relation to her dad. And she doesn't, she's already lost her mom, in the past, and she doesn't want to lose her dad. So don't, she's pleading and she's begging through her tears, please, Dad, don't go, and all this stuff. And you hear it in her voice, and she does it really, she does it really well. Now, I'm not sure, because, John Krasinski's character, the dad part, he's resting, he's sleeping, whatever. And you thinking that he's so out of it that he's not listening, whatever. But, yeah, that moment was powerful. But then, of course, come to surprise, the, he hears her, and he has a weak voice, like, that's a good story and all this stuff. And she sort of embraces him because he's alive in that sense. And yeah, that was strong. I know people who've seen it have, and those movie critics, whatever, they have a lot to say in it and all this stuff. And I get the first half of it, but when you get to the second half of it, dealing with memories and getting older and all these things, and loss of things or whatever, it can hit you. It hit me. I don't know about you, but it hit me. And so the next point is that she's going back in the hallway. She's hugging her grandma because he's awake and all this stuff, but she doesn't see the imaginary friends, because they, when she was going into the hospital, she was seeing them because she was sort of like one of those things. But when she comes out, she doesn't see them, and she's sort of like, oh, okay. And so they, time has passed. They're back at the grandma's house taking their stuff because they're leaving back home, and she's going up to the room where Calvin and Blossom were. Now she's knocking on the door. No one's answering. She has like a box of some pastry, whatever. And this old lady comes out. Now, first she used to see this old lady as like a witch, as a terror, like ah. But then it's daylight out. It's all this stuff, and the lady comes in light, and she's just a regular old lady, and she's telling people, yeah, I was trying to visit my friend, and here's like that. There's no one in there. And she opens it up, and it's just this like closet space. And so this sort of reeling comes to mind that maybe they're done with her or whatever. And of course Calvin too, because where is Calvin? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. But then again, it reaches into the adult side of the imagination and the connection of memories as well. And that's where it hit me most, is because that's sort of the thing where adults lose on that end too, is they lose their sense of wonderment, they lose their sense of imagination. And you kind of, as you grow up as an adult, you kind of get it beaten out of you. You have a job, you have bills, you have kids, you have all this stuff, pile on pile of this reality. And going back to the story, so she finds out there's no one in there or whatever, and of course they're leaving, and packing the stuff, and sort of one of the boxes that she had as a kid, all the creative stuff she put in there, um, it falls out by accident, of course, and she just cleaned it up and all this stuff, and she comes across paper. She comes off old photos of her and family at the beach and all this other stuff, and then she comes across this picture of, drawing of her mom and her dad, and then all of a sudden, there's this part that's bent over, and she flips it up, and it shows Calvin the clown, right? And so she realizes that Calvin, the person who she was helping the imaginary friends, trying to get back, whatever, she realizes this Calvin was her if. And she didn't know it yet because, over the years, distraught with her mother and all that stuff and all that. She didn't notice it until it was too past the point. So she goes up. She goes back to the room again. It's empty. And she sort of has this self monologue where she says, it was you all this time, shedding tears and stuff. And and she's in her point where she's saying, I still need you. I still need you. And so she does this thing where, as Lewis would tell her, is like, all you have to do is go back to your memories and just re-invite him in, and you can feel it all just coming back to you. That might be misremember what he said, but then all of a sudden, there's this hand comes out with this balloon, and she opens her eyes, and Calvin and everyone's back, and that was just sublime. It was powerful from my end, powerful. And when it comes to point, then all of a sudden, the song by Rod Stewart, I wish I knew what I know what I know. I wish I knew what I know now when I was younger. That song is playing. It's not the Rod Stewart one, it's a different version, but it's a very nice, slow, congenial one. And we go through this montage of the ifs getting back with their person. And it is just one, sort of love bomb after that, and you feel it. You really feel it, because the first part is the unicorn, and of course she was the if for the lady at the reception desk at the Jeremy's job. Then you have another if. Allie was an alligator. She was the if for the nurse that was at the hospital saying, he had a tough day. He's taking rest, and you see one after another of these ifs getting back to that, and it's just a powerful moment playing on the memories of what once was for the adult, and the ifs, and I'm trying to remember what was next. But the song keeps playing out, and it's sort of like this remembrance, this nostalgia song, and it hits you where it counts. The first half of the movie is a bit iffy because you're not sure what's wrong with the dad. You kind of get a hint of what's wrong with the mom, and the eccentricity of John Krasinski playing the dad is kind of a bit offish, but you kind of understand a bit because he's trying not to worry his daughter. There's a few moments where he kind of gets serious. It's like, I'll have the serious conversation, but he does try to keep the humor of it. And yeah, once it comes to the second half of the movie, it's hard not to think, well, why I'm listening to these movie review critics, and I get, oh, it's not great at this, oh, it's not great at that, whatever. But I'm like, there are some things that could use work on, but the point of where it comes to, especially as you're older, right? Because there's a kid's portion and there's the kid who now becomes the adult. portion. There's a portion of that matter where it's like it hits on memories, it hits on if you had an imaginary friend or not, it hits on those moments as a child that were important to you and you grew up and sort of grew out of it to a degree. And it hits on those points, and it feels like, again, as a person who goes sees a movie, your best option is more than not to go see it. Now, if you don't want to support, obviously, if you don't want to support the company or whatever, that's fine. But just remember, sometimes a movie critic can get a movie wrong. And you may miss out something that's pretty great. Now you'll probably say, oh, I wish they'd saved me a buck or two, whatever. But my thing is that there were a lot of critics who were downing the If movie because it wasn't that great, the writing wasn't whatever. And of course, it's John Krasinski writing it, so I don't know how great his writing is. He did the Quiet One, so I mean, I guess that kind of fortitude. But the point of the matter is, though, is like, oh, come on, camera, focus. There we go. Oh, I love it when it autofocuses. The last one was doing that. But the point of the matter, though, is that this movie hits on points of the child growing up to an adult. I'm melting. Steve, get a fan on you. Take a cold shower. Do something. Goodness. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I've seen this movie 3 times now. Yeah, they are. Critics are too critical. Yeah, because they're looking at it from the critic angle, right? Like some things didn't make sense in the movie. I will acknowledge that. Eccentricity of the father, sure. The not knowing what was wrong with the dad, sure. But when you get to the half the point of it, like there's a musical number. Hey, Bulldozer. How are you, sir? Hold on. How are you, sir? Looking forward to having you on next month. And thank you for wanting to come on. But anyway, fan is on. Well, good. Take a cold shower. That may help. But the point of the matter is when it gets to the child turned adult, right? These adults who have grown up, they're busy with this stuff, whatever, and they've forgotten their ifs. Even the grandmother who's way older. But there are points where the memories, the nostalgia and stuff, and it's just like it's powerful because it relents onto those memories. There's a musical number during when they're at the retirement, and it's of course the song "Do Good to Me" by Tina Turner. I mean, the song it's Tina Turner, right? It's Tina Turner, but it's just a great song. But the point of the matter is that the place of where the imaginary friends is the bee uses her imagination, and of course Calvin is sort of like no, because he's like he's playing the character. He's done. He's tired. He doesn't want to help do this anymore. He wants to leave it to Lewis and B to do all this stuff. But Lewis is saying, show us what it looks like in your mind, right? And B gets the idea, and the song starts to play, and bam, it goes into this whole motion with the song "Be Good to Me" by Tina Turner, and it's just like mediocre girl. Hey, mediocre girl. I think critics tend to sometimes get too locked into the text. Yeah, exactly. Instead of the actual point of the movie and how it uses story to evoke ideas, thoughts, and emotions. Thank you. I haven't been describing it well, but thank you. The point of the matter, though, is that this movie hits on 2 folds. It hits on the child part, right? Because it is a kids movie, but it has, a lot of adults. There are a lot of celebrities who are playing voices in it, and it hits on the adult side, and the adult side being the child who grew up to be an adult, right? The wonderment, the imagination, all kind of sort of beaten out of you over time because you've got to face the real world, right? Bills to pay, all this stuff. You have kids of your own and all this, and you're still like, I just want to go back to that moment. And it sort of hits on that a bit, but also hits on the worry of like losing a loved one, right? She only has one parent left, right? She only has one parent left because her mother died of cancer, or at least it shows through the montage that she died from cancer. And we don't know what's wrong with him. That's something that could have been explained a little easier, but whatever. The point of the matter, though, is that this movie hits on those points for the adult side that you're just like, wow, right? Wow. And of course, people could look at the whole B and Calvin thing and think wrong of it, but it's not really that. It's more of an innocence to it. She doesn't know that Calvin is her if, and he sort of plays it off like, oh, she doesn't remember. He's sort of very negative in his stuff. But through the time that they're working together and all this stuff, more and more of it is realized that, hey, they work well together. And it's not until the end she realizes that Calvin was her if, her imaginary friend. That's what it is. But you you get a sense in the second half, it's just there's this power of emotion. Like there's montages of cancer death. What are we living? Yeah. Well, it's sort of like the beginning of it is, being family and all this other stuff and do these silly things. But then you start seeing these points where she's starting to wear a handkerchief over her head and all this other stuff. And you start, she's in the hospital, whatever. So there's more of that. But there's still fun in it, still having fun. They don't show a death. They don't show anything like that. It's just it's implied. I think the beginning of the movie, John Krasinski was relying on people to get the implication, even though for his implication as the dad, it doesn't make sense. We don't know what's wrong with him. It just shows at one point he opens up like this, not a shirt, but he has a shirt underneath his shirt, and it just shows it like a broken heart, and it's just like, and of course, Blue at a certain point, Blue makes the same comment of, does he have a broken heart? But that doesn't make any sense. How is his heart broken? That point I get. But when you come to the second half of it, and there's two musical numbers, the one with Be Good to Me, and it shows like she's using her imagination to reinvigorate this retirement place. And it comes to a musical number where it's sort of like the music video of Tina Turner doing the song. It's not really her, but they do use snippets from that. And they get into this musical number. Everyone's dancing. She at one point has a top hat and just flips it out, and they just start doing this dance moves. It's incredible. It's incredible because it's showing she's using her imagination to bring the party alive, if it were. But this is a kid's imagination, so there you go. But then there's the second one. The second number is love. It goes L is for love for you and me and all that stuff. And it's sort of, Lewis, who's the big teddy bear who started the retirement home, he is trying to, what is it? He is trying to, in a sense, give guidance of the matchup, the ifs matchup. And she's telling him it's not working. He said, well, maybe that's not the point. Maybe it's not about trying to match him up with new kids. Maybe it's about the going back to the other ones. And he's like, how do I do that? Well, sometimes, whatever brings, what brings me back to those memories is the smell of the salt air, the feet tapping on the boardwalk and all this stuff. And she is, and so he just closes his eyes and he says, so just close your eyes and you remember those things and you just let it all waft back to you. And it's just like you're right there, right in that moment. You're right there, right in that moment. And so, she's kind of like, okay, whatever. And so she closes her eyes and tries to do something. And then the song Love just starts going on. And sort of like in behind him, it's sort of like a 1950s, boardwalk. People are the prizes and all this stuff, all is going on. A bunch of people, they're having fun, playing the games, eating the candy, all this stuff. And this is sort of reaching into like Lewis's memory, because I don't know if his person is still alive. But it sort of reaches in this memory, an old past memory. And of course, her clothing's changed. Obviously, it's like a white suit all over. But they kind of go through and whatnot. And it's just all the ifs are having fun with the humans there and all this. It's just sort of a nice sort of thing. But it's Lewis's way, the bear. It's Lewis's way of telling her, maybe it's not about trying to get him to new kids. Maybe it's about trying to reconnect him with their old kids that have grown up. And how do you do that? Through memories. I gave it, the reason why I think it was I either gave it 8 or 9. The reason why I gave it 8 or 9 is because it hit those emotional points. The beginning of part, I get it, right? I get it. But when it came to those emotional points for the child growing up to an adult, and especially with the father and daughter moment where she believes her father is going to die and all this stuff, you can't sit there and tell me that it doesn't hit you in some way, some manner, that maybe not everyone had an imaginary kid, but you have memories of what it was like for your childhood. Bits and pieces, sure. Over time, you kind of need pictures, whatever reminds you. But you can't tell me for sure that you couldn't feel some sort of way that when those things were being brought up, right? Not exactly to you, but in the sense of all this stuff, that you wouldn't feel something either. That you wouldn't feel like the tsunami of what was, right? You know, the toys you played with, the shows you watched, the friends you were with, all these things in bits and pieces, and you're just like it's almost like when the tide comes high and the waves are washing over you, and you just like you could be pushed back by the waves just push you back, but you don't let them push you back fully. You just embrace the moment of when the waves wash over you, and that's what it felt like, is that those memories sorry that those memories could bring back something that was once forgotten. And of course Lewis made a point that some memories are never truly forgotten. They still reside in the heart. Sometimes as you go older, things can be forgotten. Sometimes you do need a physical remembrance, but there are memories that are difficult to forget, and you don't forget them because the emotion at the time was so strong that to forget them would be like death itself. Would be like death itself. And for me, that's why I gave it eight or 9 out of 10, because you cannot tell me that there aren't points in your life where you don't sit down and take a moment to think over yourself, right? You know, the day's been rough, the day's been hard. Maybe if you have kids or whatever, you can't tell me you don't sit down and at once think about when you were a kid, the stuff you enjoyed, the shows you watched, all this stuff. You can't tell me that those things wouldn't come back to some degree, and you wouldn't feel this wave of emotion where you're just like, how could I? It just dealt with a lot of that stuff, and for me, I couldn't walk away from that movie giving it less. Now, does it play in the emotion? Sure, but I cannot listen to these critics who gave it a downer because they're looking at the technical aspect and say, look, I went to this movie. I've seen it 3 times. I've seen it 3 times. I saw it a few weeks ago. The last time, sorry. The third time I saw it a few weeks ago. Beginning part, I get. Second part, that's where the tide rolls in. That's where you're standing there and letting the waves wash over you like, holy crap. Holy crap. Again, it is a kid's movie. You know, you could bring your kids to it and it'll just be fine, but there is something in there for the adults as well. And it's powerful and it's amazing. To me, you can go there, have a different result. But for me, it was eight or 9 out of 10. And I won't take it back in that. The beginning of it, sure, totally get it. It didn't make sense at some points. But when it comes to that secondary part, no. And if you want the song Be Good to Me by Tina Turner is up on YouTube, you can find it. And probably a lot of comments saying who came from If. And of course the Love One too. But yeah, that was my rendition, I guess, of the movie If. Go to sleep. Go to sleep, Steve. Stop telling me you're gonna pass out. Go to sleep. Get some ice in your face or something. I don't know. But yeah, whether you buy the movie to see it for yourself, whether you have already seen it, I don't know, or whether you want to go see it. All I can say is that yes, the beginning part may not make much sense. It didn't make much sense to me. I get it. But once you get to that second part, I want you to tell me how you felt. Did you feel nothing? Did you feel a little something? You're like, oh, it's cheesy, whatever. Whatever it may be. Alice Minjo says, childishness gets a bad rep these days. We try and make kids grow up too fast, and we don't encourage adults. And we don't encourage adults to grow up. Childhood is precious, and we shouldn't do exactly. Like there's a point. There's a place of boundaries, right? There's a place of understanding because again, generation after generation after generation, there are lessons that get passed down. You know, what once was the child now becomes the adult to pass to the child that will become the adult. Do you see the circle of life right there? And how we forget sometimes. And the same thing with parenting, right? Like I'm not a parent. I've said it many times. But just imagine, right? Just imagine there were things that you dealt with as a teen. And I'll get to the promoting stuff, right? So don't worry. Just imagine that there's stuff as a teen, right? Your parents, gave you the talk, whatever, about all this stuff, and you wish they just understood or did in the way that wouldn't seem so awkward at her. Nowadays, we usually leave it up to technology, whatever. And to there's a point where I've seen this many times in the past, where it's about this thing of the parent and child becoming friends. No. There's a separation. There's a reason there's a separation. Now you can become. Yeah. Yep. I can agree to that. And sometimes there are kids who don't have parents. They get tossed in the foster field. It's a lot of variables. But getting back to the point, when you're an adult and you're a parent and you have kids, right? Do you ever have a moment where your kid does something and you just blasé it and you just be the parent? But have you ever taken a step back and said, was I like that when I was a kid? Because there is a disparity there. There's always going to be disparity there. I'm not, I've seen this thing about, parents being friends with kids, whatever. No, there has to be a line. From my perspective, there has to be a line between friend and being a parent. Yes, you want to be able to have your kid come up to you and say, hey, there's this thing. You want them to be able to confess to you of a truth, or at least be comfortable enough to talk about it, something that, drugs or whatever, or something like that. You want to be able to come up to you instead of going to someone else, because if they go to someone else for that information, whether it be internet or anything beyond that, you have lost a connection. You've lost a connection. It's hard. Trust on any level, whether you're a kid or an adult. Once it's been hurt badly, it can be hard to rebuild again, especially if you're a parent. I'm not saying you have to be nice or whatever. You as a parent have to be a parent to your kid. What I say doesn't matter. I'm just giving my perspective on seeing this, especially after seeing this movie and stuff at times where I've talked about, parenthood and childhood, whatever. When you were a kid and you had discussions with your parent, or there were things that came up you wanted, would have told your parent, but you weren't because you were afraid, do you ever take a moment to stop and remember those moments and say, am I doing the same thing? Or am I doing something similar in same fashion? Because I think parents forget, to some manner, sorry, I thought I heard something, to some manner, that they were once a kid too. And maybe their parent did some awkward thing or whatever. Maybe embarrassed them, but it was more joking, whatever. But do you remember how you felt when they did it? Right? Like when it came time to talk to you about, sex and stuff, and how embarrassing and awkward that was, and all that stuff. Maybe I'm not sure about every parent, but to a chunk of it, right? You remember how awkward but was all this stuff. It's not straightforward. It's like book here, whatever. Or talk about adultish things, like maybe the politics, maybe the stuff you see, maybe abuse that could be seen. You see someone get another child, have that look on their face, and your kid brings it up to you and is like, I've seen this of this person, and they look that way, and it's like, oh, well, let's talk about that. Do you see parents do that? I'm not here to tell you how to be a parent. Don't get me wrong. It's a philosophical question to pull yourself back to the moment when you were a kid and how you were treated as a kid, and now that you have a kid, if you do have a kid, how is that now? Because at a certain point, I think a lot of parents want their kids to be obedient, right? They want their kid to be obedient, listen to what I say, not what I do, sort of thing. They want to be obedient, do this on time. But that's not how it works. I know that's not how it works. And I don't even think I'd be a great dad. That's just a perspective, don't worry. But it feels like the disparity that once was when you were a kid has now become what you are if you become a parent. Again, not all parents, just to just a perception of what I've seen, right? And I can be wrong. I'll admit it, I can be wrong. I am human. But when this movie came out, right, and watching it, and just it sort of reminded me of those things where, memories, nostalgia, all this stuff, and then the stuff I've talked about with a few other people about parenting. I am not a parent, but I can still talk upon my view of parenting. I don't have to agree. You don't have to agree. It's okay. The point of the matter is I can come and say, look, I've seen this thing many times over, maybe not of you, but of other parents, or what we see of the general parents, whatever we see in, the news or whatnot. Where's the point where we stop and ask ourselves, how was it when I was a kid? Right? And it may not be the same moment, but think of it this way. Every era is different, but there are tinges of humanity within each era that are the same throughout. The technology changes, the hygiene changes, the whatever changes, but there's still a tinge of human psychology within those eras. It doesn't matter what era you come from. Now, things were a lot worse the farther you go back because of rules and stuff, right? Because lesser rules and whatnot. But the more we come forward to this, we start seeing there is I saw a video on YouTube where someone, or like an old video where a 3-year-old was chimney sweeping. The 12-year-olds were smoking cigarettes. I mean, if that doesn't tell you how far we've come from that point, I don't know what does. I mean, probably 12-year-olds aren't smoking cigarettes, so they just don't tell their parent. But I would think, from my perspective, that if you do have a kid and they do something like that and they do a wrong or whatever, that they can come to you, maybe with some tears in their eyes, maybe with some regret in their eyes, doesn't matter, that they can come to you and talk to you about it. Now, of course, as a form of punishment, sure, deal that out as a parent as you are. But when you lose the ability, right, when you lose the ability to have your child come to you, because you want your child to come to you if something big happens, a social thing or all this stuff that's going on, you want them to come to you because you want them to be able to trust you enough that you'll be able to have these discussions that can be very adult at times and very harsh. My perspective, whatever. You can say what you will. It's your life, whatever. But it's just from my perspective. I would think, and doesn't mean I'm perfect. Doesn't mean if I do become a dad, I'd be perfect at it. But it's just the thought of coming back to the point when you were a kid and realizing that maybe there's something here when I was a kid that happened to me that maybe I can use here with my kid that may improve the situation. Because you want your kid to be able to come to you when they do a wrong. You want them to come to you and not fear the rod, so to speak. Because if they fear that, they fear you. And if they fear you, there's no reason why they come to you later on. Especially when they get older, right? When they get older, they're like friendly, but they're like, let's just keep it distant. That's a sad fate for families. I'm not saying kids have to be friends with their parents, whatever that silliness is when you get older. But it's a sad fate when your kids no longer want anything to do with you anymore because all they remember of you is fear and anger and some hate. And you're stuck there wondering why they haven't called you, why they haven't said anything in ages. It's a sad fate indeed. But anyway, guys, I'm glad you stuck with me for this long, even though it's when I had Tom on, it was a lot of people on the YouTube side, but that was probably one offer, whatever. But the point of the matter is that it just surprised me. But anyway, let's do my promoting stuff, and then we may do a little bit, and then may leave. But anyway, guys, whether you're here now or watching later, I stream to both YouTube and Rumble, or Rumble and YouTube actually, at Daramouthe. I have a Discord at Daramouthe. That's mostly just for DMing, so it's one way. I have a fan account on Twitter X at Daramouthe, usually where I talk to most of the people I've had on or communicate. I also have an email, which is right here. Look, guys, and then all of it's in the, go to the link tree below. All of that's in the link tree. It's a 1, 2, and you're there, right? Listen, if you're watching this later, I offer up to you this opportunity to come on and talk about whatever. We can talk about what you saw with me with Tom. He was, he may not have been as talkative, but he enjoyed himself a bit, and I'm glad he did. And thank you, Tom, for coming on. If you see this, and all those who came with him yesterday, whether you're a new person or an old person, the door is open to you if you'd like to come on. Now, July is almost full. Honest to goodness, I have maybe 5 to 4 days left to fill. I don't usually do the weekends because I usually just save those for special occasions, just in case someone can't do a weekday. It is what it is. Now, of course, I'm not making a whole bunch of money on it to do weekends. It's one of those things. I love to do it, but I need a break. All right, I love you guys, but I need break time. But whether you're watching it now or later, I offer this opportunity to come on. I am going to have people come on that have never been on before. They may have been on other channels, whatever, but I'm going to have people, and some people have been on before. The point of the matter is I am trying to outreach to other people to have a conversation about whatever. It's not easy. It's a difficulty in trying to get them on because I have to build my credibility, right? I have to build my credibility. I have to do all this stuff. I have to do the thing that I dislike the most, right? Because I'm not here. I'm not a clout person. I'm not here to wave it over someone's head and say, look how many people I have. Now, I did state earlier today on my Twitter X, on my fan account, Twitter X, oh, look how far I've come. Look at the subscribers on both ends, because I have 100 YouTube and 300 something on Rumble. I rarely do that. My reason is because I've seen these content creators time and time again mention the numbers, and I know why they do it. They do it to raise their stuff up. They show, like, here's the mile line. I want to go higher and stuff. My thing is I want to have conversations, free flowing conversations with about as many people as I can. I'm not here for debates. I'm not here for arguments. I'm not here for the trolls who just want to destroy, create havoc, all this stuff. This opportunity is for you. If you want it. If you want to have a conversation about whatever. There's no topic. The conversation is a topic. I know, a weird thing to discuss or to say or whatever, but that is the truth of the matter. Darachat is a free-flowing conversational show where the conversation itself is the topic. Little weird, little paradoxical, but that's the best way I can describe it. Those are the best words I've got. I'm not the best at this, okay, guys? I'm not the best at this. But if you want to take that opportunity, go to the link tree or just leave a comment in either YouTube or Rumble. We can get started. July is almost full. I'm waiting to get into July to contact a person because I'd like to have this person on, but they said to wait till July, so I'm going to wait July. So the days I have open, I'm not going to push. There is a day, the 1st of July, there's someone I'm trying to get on, but we'll see. If not, I'll just be another Darachat solo. But this leads me to my second part. As I stated before, I have to build my credibility, right? So I have to do the one thing that YouTubers do all the time. Share, like, and subscribe. Da-da-da-da. I dislike this part because this is the part where I've seen so many other content creators do it, and it's just like, I get it, but it's so annoying. It's so, oh, I know why you're doing this. For me, the help with the engagement is a factor in the credibility part, right? Like, Tom Connor, so I don't guess, is probably considered one of the bigger people on the YouTube side. And I'm not saying it for clout or anything. I'm just saying it as perception, right? And that was a lot of people on YouTube yesterday. That was crazy. That was probably the biggest record I've ever broken, to be honest. But at the end of the day, this right here is the main point. All the other stuff is secondary. But I need it in order to reach more, to have more people on. It's the irony of the nature of this, right? Well, I need to be seen more to have more people on and stuff. And it's just like, but I don't want that because I don't want to be seen like this person. I want to be so humble about it because I've seen too many content creators do this thing and they get boisterous and they get loud and they get drama and all this other stuff. I'm like, why? Why must it be this way? But we're human. And that's the factor at hand. So whether it's a like, and whether it's a follow, whether it's a comment, or whether it's sharing it, whether it's one of them or all of them, anything you do in the engagement factor helps. It helps bring more people on. Because I'm getting people from YouTube, I'm getting people from Rumble, I'm getting people from Twitch. I'm reaching across all the spheres, baby. Because I'm not seeing many people do that. Well, then again, I'm probably not watching them either. So there you go for that one. But anything you can do to help, whether you're on the YouTube side or the Rumble side, whether you're watching now or whether you're watching later, anything you can do to help. Because I so look forward to these people I have on. Now, some of them only come on once. I've tried to invite them again, but deaf ears. I can only do so much. But you guys, the people who are watching, you guys get to help me make something cosmic. I think that's a little too far. Wonderful. I don't think it should say cosmic. But you get to help me make this thing be majestic in its own right. Because I don't see a lot of people doing it. There's all these spheres and all these things. I was talking to Tom yesterday. There's all these things, all these spheres that people get into. And, well, yes, I understand. It's like, oh, well, whatever. I don't do the pay it forward streams because I know people will follow me back. I do it because there are big creators out there. And yeah, they may give attention to some people or whatever, but why not give $2 to someone starting out, even if they never make it to big time or whatever? The point of the matter is paying it forward means paying it forward without expectation of anything in return. How powerful is that? Because I could sit here and ramble on all day about anything. I'm like a machine over here. I could do this all day. Point of the matter, though, is, yeah, I can't do that. I'll maybe brag it in the sense of like, oh wow, look at all these amazing people following me, and majority of them have been on the show. I try to be, man. I try to be, but thank you for the kindness. I lost minds, the pride, aggressive. I'll say this: not all. There are some who have, sure, or some who are considered, but people like Tom, I don't consider them that, because as you heard him yesterday, that he does notice things within himself that he's trying to rein in, and he does notice. So I can't say that of him. I'm not a big creator at all. I don't, even if I had 1,000 people, I wouldn't consider myself a big creator because there's always someone else who's bigger than me. Will I get to 1,000? I don't know. But you know what I'll get to? I'll get to like 100 people. I'll probably get to 100 people before the end of the year. Some of the, 100 people who've been on here, not like multiple times, sort of thing. Right? Big meaning 5 to 10. Well, anyone who has more numbers than me is bigger. That's what I'm saying. But where is it that these creators aren't doing their own pay it forward? And that's understandable, but I want to be able to do more. I want to be able to help more. I want to be able to give more. Because right now I can only give what I I can, which is very little, but you can do a lot with a little. And I've proved that. And I'm not here to call anyone out or shame anyone. I'm just giving my perception of what I see. I can be wrong. I can be very wrong. I am human. I'll be able to put that out. My thing is I don't see content creators, the big ones, right? Millions of followers, whatever. I don't see them go through. Maybe there's someone who has. Maybe there's someone who is. I don't know. But I've not seen someone who has millions and millions of followers go through a live stream ordeal like I do for my Pay It Forward and just give some of that, a little bit of the percentage away. Now, of course, you have someone like Mr. Beast. He does a whole lot with that philosophy, the philosophy side. So I wouldn't speak up against him on it because he does pay it forward. Now he makes videos out of it, which make money and which he does and all this stuff. So regardless, he does pay it forward in his own way. So I wouldn't come up against that. But other creators, I don't know. And whether they're a small creator or a big creator, I would invite them on to the pay it forward part because there is a power in reciprocity. Now, what you do that for, there's a difference. Are you using reciprocity to get something out of it, or are you doing reciprocity because you said, you know what, it can't stay with me for long. It won't, because tomorrow for me, not guaranteed. But what I can do today is say, hey, look, I hope you have a great night. I hope you have a great weekend. Give some likes, give some money, and go on to the next person. And you would be surprised how many times during when I did my Pay It Forward stream where they said, you were my first ranter. You were my first ranter. Creators, Pay It Forward for big streams about getting charity views. What you're doing is a bit more. I got to, man. I got to, because there's no way around it. There's no way. When you're doing this content creator stuff, you must be humble. Because then it can all go tomorrow. Just like that. Your life can be snuffed out just like that. And it won't matter how many followers you have. It won't matter how big your numbers are. It won't matter at all what all this is anymore. What matters is what you were able to leave behind, at least for somebody. Right? Because that's what we do charities for. It's about leaving. Now, obviously, we hear news of some charities not being for that case, or somebody like the whole Lance Armstrong sort of thing where that was taken and abused for. But at the end of the day, Pay It Forward has always been this thing where I've just given without expectation. Will I make a lot of money out of it? Will I get a lot of followers out of it? I don't know. But that's not the point of it. Same with Darachat. That's not the point of it. I can't go in expecting these things because, like with Tom earlier, right? Don't become a YouTube. I know people had 1,000 followers when they lost 10% after videos the week, they freak out. Yes, exactly, because they make content creation their whole body, their full-time job. I have a full-time job. I'd like to rely on it less and have a part-time job, but I take what is now. You can reach the whole world through a screen, but your whole world is not a screen. How ironic is that for me to say? How ironic is that for me to say? And yet it's more true now, as I say it, than it was 10 years ago, and it will be 10 years after. I'm not here to tell people how to do content creation. I'm not here to tell people what they should do for content creation. I'm not here to give any piece of advice whatsoever. I'm giving my perspective, my perception on what I see. I can be wrong. I am human, and I will say that 1,000 times over, again and again, to every person who comes on. Why? Because humility is the best way, not humiliation, but humility, humbleness, is the best way for you not to fall in the pit traps that you've seen these other content creators fall into. Now, based on your perception, right? Based on your perception. Based on my perception, it's a little different, but based on your perception, yes. But where is it? I'm kind of not connected to any high people. I've had people who consider high on, sure. But I have no swaying power. I have no anything power. And maybe that's for the best, because I would want to get drunk on it. But I do want to make this more, so I can do more, so I can give more, so I have that point where I can go to these people in person. That I have that sit down with in person. Will it be better than on the screen? I can't promise anything. But I can tell you this. At least it'll be fun enough that we can come back together and have a good time. Because at the end of the day, it's what we're missing. And that's why I do this, because I saw something missing. And I've said it many times before. I saw something missing from all these content creators creating content. Talk about law, talk about entertainment, talk about all these things, all these spheres. They pick a niche, okay, fine. Right? That's what you do. You pick the thing, your strengths, and you go for it. I want to pick the thing that will challenge me on the level where I have strengths, but I have some very, very strong weaknesses or medium weaknesses, whatever. Because this world is big, but compared to the universe, oh, it is so small. It is so small. It's time just to be able to sit down and have a conversation. Because I'm tired of not seeing it. I am going to those spheres and I'm going to break them open and say, look at this field. It is so wide and free. Why are you stuck here? Why are you stuck to this point? Gamers. I get you started there, but why are you stuck there? Not all. Artists, movie critics, musicians, entertainers. The line is long as it is wide. Why stay in one place? Because there's so many more people to reach through this medium, which is called content creation. Through this medium, which is a tool of its own grandiose, right? Because I know people will talk about the AI stuff, the machine learning, whatnot. Okay, I get it. But the genie's out of the bottle. It's not going to change. What you do now is more important than what you keep fretting about 5 seconds ago. Because I'm telling you right now, once the ride is over, that worry ceases to exist. All these Hollywood entertainment, all these politics, all this BS you keep getting thrown at you by the news and other content creators and all this stuff, it is going to end eventually. I know, Alaska Man Jeff. I know. But my point being, right? What are you doing now to make a change? Right? A positive change, not like a change like, oh, you went out and harmed people, right? That's a change. But because anything could be a change at this point. But what about the now? Because all you got is now. Right? Taking care of your health, enjoying life. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life because I have trouble with my own. But I'd be honest with you about it to the least of the extent of not, trying to not give too much information about life. Because you don't need to know everything. We're here. We're having a great time. We're conversing about whatever comes our way. And we can walk away with the feeling of either fulfillment, enlightenment, or refreshment. Or I think refreshment is the word. Is it refreshment? Refreshment. Something of that nature. Feeling refreshed. There we go. It's like going to our own church, but I'm not going to call it that. Lord, no, I'm not going to call it that. But this is why I do it. I didn't know what I wanted to do before. Every day, just recording videos, talking about whatever. Doing movie reviews. I guess this kind of was a movie review, but it's a stream. Gaming. Then I come to this, where I'm talking to people who create, don't create, VTuber, non-VTuber, black, white, doesn't matter. And yet somehow, for a third time in a row, I'm able to fill a month, weekdays, obviously. And I'm going on for my 4th month, and it's almost full. What does that tell you? Does it tell you I'm hardworking? Dear Lord, I'm using tools to make my job a little easier. Not my job, my hobby. To make things a little easier. So I don't know about hardworking, but I try. I'll tell you what, from my perspective, it shows that the conversation, to have a conversation, is missing. And our echo chambers and our biases and everything that makes us human keeps us contained within those walls, and we have a hard time getting out. We have a hard time letting go of facts or this or that, whatever. What we believe to be is not always is. That's what our world is. Right? Still, people don't know how this world is created. They'll pick one or the other. It doesn't matter. The point of the matter is we can't come to sit at the table and just discuss like we're people who are meeting for the first time, and we're not trying to be I'm right, you're wrong. We're trying to be sensible in the sense of not understanding who you are, what you've done, or whatever. Clean slate. Clean slate. But you can come to the table and talk as if you're like another human being, different perspective, different struggles of the road. You come, and you're just able to sit down and converse. And if I can fill 4 months, almost 4 months, if I can fill almost 4 months, I'm going to complete the end of the year, except for family stuff and the holidays, which, again, of course, July 4th, the weekend, I will not be here. So from that Thursday to that Sunday, I will not do anything. But there will be shorts. So do not fret. But I can't not keep going, because I'm meeting many of people who, some of which I get to have back on again, and we get to have a great time. I hope to have Tom back on again. I hope to have many of you who've been back on again, time allowing, right? Because that's always a thing, scheduling and whatnot, especially if you're in Alaska and you're about 4 hours behind me. But why not? Why not be able to come to the table again and just converse about whatever? Be freestyling it. Be free, like, freestyling a rap, that sort of thing. I don't know. I can only give 4 hours behind. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But I can't not stop. There are some days I'd like to, but I'm so invigorated by what this can mean. Some days I'm worried for like the pay it forward streams. Some days I'm worried I won't have enough money to even give away. I know I don't have to give away money, but I find that it's a better solution to following everyone. I apologize, I can't follow everyone because it does clog up my feed on Rumble, and I can't watch all your guys' stuff. I'm sorry. Creating content means I ignore a lot of the people I follow and do my own thing, and I hope somebody joins to watch like everyone else. Of course. I'm so very grateful when people do. I'm so very grateful when people do decide to come on and give me a shot and say, I'll come on your show. Now, I've not been asked. I mean, in the past, I was kind of asked by someone. I've not been asked on the other show. I mean, I have been asked, but the scheduling of it is just kind of off, so I wasn't able to do it. But that's another way of paying it forward as well. Would I like all the amenities that would come with being a content creator? You know, all the big follows, all the monies, and all the stuff that way? Sure. I won't lie about that. But I know if I make that my mainstay, I might as well just walk out this room and end the stream and be done with it. Because there's no way that can continue if I put that first. If I put that first. And there's no way to continue in order to want to share this thing that can be more of a positive, right? More of a positive than I assume to see anywhere else, or at least I perceive to see anywhere else. Because the times are coming, kids. Times are coming. We won't get that shot anymore. Would you rather waste it on drama and fighting against some other content creator? No, thank you for that. Since I've not been, hey, you know what? I'll take whatever. I'll take whatever. Same goes for anyone else out there. But there's so many people and so little time. And our time together is encapsulated in one moment. Whether it's the first time or the next time or the next time after that. Encapsulated in one moment where we can show others who watch they had a great time. They had smiles on their faces, and they may have talked about stuff that was pretty deep. Like now, I think. And it showed for once that we can come together and just chat about whatever. The conversation is the topic, kids. Let's start having it. Let's start having it. All right. Time has come to close. I'm not going to try to do a whole Shakespearean thing after that. I think I've Shakespeared enough. But anyway, guys, first is the house thing tomorrow at 7 p.m. I will have on Geek Historian, of course, friends with Mike Mullis, or not Next Level Gaming. Yeah. So it'll be on at 7 p.m. Eastern, and that'll be interesting to see. To be yes, to be I think I have to go to the restroom. No. The point of the matter, though, is tomorrow. Oh yeah, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Geek Historian will be on. Never had him on before. It'll be first time. So I've got to get off, set up for that. So long. It doesn't take me very long, honest. I just got to make the I've got to. So here's what I do, right? When I do a new person coming on, and I save the template so that I can reuse it again, because I use Canva. If you've never heard of it, canva.com, I think it is. Is it canva.com? Yes. Canva.com. I use that to make my thumbnails. Basic, simple. I am not that difficult. I mean, I'm probably difficult to talk to, but I don't know about that. But I use whatever tool I can to help make this process a little better. Making the shorts, all the oh god, I'll have to do making shorts tomorrow. I'm not interested in doing it. I know I have to do it because I my limited pool supply is running dry. So I know I can use making clips from in Rebel Studio, but I use Opus.pro because it's Photopea. I'll look into it, but I like using Canva. I'm not paying to use Canva. It's just boom boom done. It's all good. It's all good. So I'll look into it, but for right now, Canva is just it works. And the saying, why fix it if it ain't broke, But I'll look into it just because you said so, or just because you mentioned it. But yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern. Greek Geek Historian. That'll be a great time, and I hope you'll be there for that. And again, starting next week, May. No, not May's already over with. What day is it? On the 4th, right? On the 4th to the 7th. I will not be streaming. I will be scheduling shorts throughout the entire time. Hopefully they'll be, because sometimes when I did it last time, they weren't showing up on Twitter X. So, but if I schedule them, they'll show up on either platform. So keep an eye on that during that time, and I'll let you know before the holiday weekend comes. But again, from the 4th to the 7th, we'll not be streaming, and I hope you take time to enjoy that weekend too, if you can. But guys, thank you for being here. I appreciate you all. Again, a like, a follow, a share, a comment, any or all of it. Anything that helps with the engagement helps with bringing another person on, brings a person that may have looked me over because my numbers weren't big enough or that I wasn't getting all this stuff or whatever. Anything the engagement factor helps. And again, if you're watching this, right, link tree down below. Either leave in the comments in YouTube or Rumble or go to the link, find me, say, hey, I saw your show. I'd like to come on. We can get started. Just that simple. I usually say easier than apple pie, but it is what it is. All right, guys. Thank you for being here. As always, I hope to see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. And of course, as always, we end with one of my favorites by Pogo called One Day With You by Pogo, of course. Hope to see you all tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. Have a great night. Bye.